We want to move on to our other big story here tonight, and that, of course, is the weather. We mentioned it was Groundhog Day. We're going to see more winter coming up, according to that groundhog.
Oh, great.
I know, Tony P's psyched about that. But it must feel like Groundhog Day for some parents in Montgomery County and beyond, because for the sixth straight day, students across the DMV had a snow day. A lot of students across the DMV had a snow day. It's been more than a week since it actually snowed. Just a reminder, in case you forgot, Montgomery, Fairfax, and Prince William and Prince George's County schools all were closed today. D.C. and Loudoun County public schools opened 2 hours late. Prince George's County schools will remain closed tomorrow. Montgomery County schools will be open on a 2-hour delay. Montgomery County Public Schools sent out an email to parents today saying they want students back, but unsafe neighborhood roads and sidewalks were keeping them closed. So for more on the week-long closures, we want to bring in basically the foremost authority on snow days in the region. We are talking about Alex Soronis from the MoCo Show, joining us now live. Alex, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the Live Zone Primetime.
Thanks for having me. I've had a lot of time off here with my kids.
A lot of time off. Listen,
I can imagine.
I mentioned that you are the foremost authority on snow days because this whole thing started as MoCo Snow before it was MoCo Show. So were you surprised by how long it took to get things back open and back to normal?
Yeah, look, before the storm, we were expecting a bigger storm, but we didn't know that all this ice would come with it. I've lived in Montgomery County 43 years. The DMV all had a similar experience. We had moderate snow in Montgomery County. It was 5 to 10 inches. We had sleet on top of that, like an inch or so of that. And then we had freezing cold temperatures for the last, week and a half, or I guess a little over a week. And this is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, I was surprised, but after seeing what happened, there was almost no other choice.
So for some of our viewers who may not be of the DMV, or some folks like me who are from the Boston area, New York, New Jersey, who are just used to snow like this being cleaned up in a hurry, based on your experience, what is the reason why it takes so long, beyond the temperature and all the frost we're getting, that is the reason why it's been so hard for DC and the DMV to clean the snow up effectively?
Look, I think it all just goes back to the temperatures and the snow. Again, I can't think of a time where it's been this cold for this long after. So we've had bigger snows. We've had 30-inch snowstorms, and those were cleaned up. It took, similar amount of time to clean those up, but that's, 5 times the amount of snow. This cold, I've never seen this much cold for this long, and it just kind of made those piles of ice on the side, piles of snow on the side, into these glaciers that can't be moved. So it's been unbelievable. I mean, we're having people with like pickaxes, working on these piles, and it's almost impossible to clean them up. So some parents were thinking we'd be closed again, like Prince George's County was, and some parents thought we should open last week. But if you look at the conditions, it's never really been like this 8 days after a storm.
Right, like flamethrowers they had out in D.C., I think.
So, Alex, I want you to hang tight, but we're talking about parents, and we have a couple parents in the Zoom room. I know we have Andrew Zimmerman, who is a Montgomery County parent, a very outspoken one at that. I don't know if you can hear me, Andrew, right now. We also have Sandra. Sandra's in, Alexandria in Fairfax County. And I want to check in with you guys in just a second. But first, I do want to put up this tweet from Councilmember Andrew Friedson from Montgomery County, who said more than a week after a winter storm, students should be back in school and neighborhood streets should be safely passable. These are the core government services that matter most. Montgomery County must do better. The Montgomery County Council hearing on Tuesday can't come soon enough. So, Alex, are you expecting any sort of fireworks at this meeting tomorrow or any accountability?
I don't think so. I know I'm seeing a lot of politicians call it unacceptable, and it kind of is unacceptable, but I'm also thinking there's nothing any politician could have done to create warmer temperatures. And I think ultimately that's what it goes back to. So it's great, to say we're gonna do things differently, but what are we gonna do? I want someone to come to the table and kind of let us know what's gonna happen differently in this situation, which hasn't ever happened before. It might not ever happen again, but I guess it would be good to have a different plan going forward.
All right, Alex, hang tight. I do want to bring in Sandra. And Sandra, I know you're in Fairfax, Alexandria City Schools. I assume, what has the situation been where you are? I know you talked to me last week about wanting to keep your kids home and safe. Has the response been up to par, in your opinion, where you are?
Well, just a little correction. The where I live at is Fairfax County Schools.
Okay.
So far, so good. I mean, the main roads are clear, but it's just the neighborhood roads that are not so clear. And I mean, at this point, I mean, the kids need to go back to school, obviously, but if there's safety concerns to where, kids are slipping and falling and, they're rolling down the street, on ice and stuff like that, and buses can't get into and out of neighborhoods, that's a safety concern for all parents, really.
What are some things as a parent you'd like to see reformed for the next storm so that kids are not, out of school for as long as they have been? That's a big impact on parents, I can imagine. So are there certain reforms you'd like to see or communication changes that you didn't see this time when the next storm comes?
Better communication within, the counties, and especially with them having to get the snow plows in and out, on a timely fashion, and salting places. Some of these kids, their parents can't really go anywhere. Like myself, I have 4 kids, and, I have my godson that's here, and, for them, we're questioning tomorrow if they're going to go to school. It's a 2-hour delay tomorrow, and at this point, I don't know, and I'm homesick, so I really don't have the energy to be like, okay, let me go outside, let me go see,
Right.
It definitely has to be better communication throughout everything.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a burden on the parents.
Of course
out there
it is.
Too, of course, especially if they have to take time off from work.
Right.
Alex, should remote learning have been an option here?
So I think it was in some counties in the area, but Montgomery County Public Schools said that they could not do it. They provided a few reasons. One of the reasons was they currently don't have like a Chromebook for each student. They hadn't planned for anything like this, so they couldn't do it. I think maybe having a plan in place, especially after having to do this, a few years ago during COVID, maybe it'd be a good idea to have a plan in place in case there's ever a prolonged closing like this. But these closings are also pretty rare. And this situation in general is pretty rare that, 5 to 10 inches of snow is going to close down a whole region for almost 8 days. But yeah, I think virtual learning should be an option. I just don't know if it can be. And then a lot of people aren't happy with what virtual learning is. And it still kind of puts the parents in a similar position. They still have to be home with their kids monitoring. And then, is learning going on during that time? Couldn't tell you for sure.
Yeah.
But at least give it a shot.
It's definitely not a level playing field. Adam Zimmerman, not sure if you can hear us now. You are a parent in Rockville of 2 Montgomery County Public School students, an outspoken parent as well. You sent an email to the station tonight, not pleased with the response in Montgomery County when it comes to the snow.
To what happened with COVID a few years ago, that schools in this case were the first to close and the last to open. And we saw the damage that did during the pandemic in terms of the impact on students' education, parents' ability to work, etc. And even though this is obviously a lot less severe circumstances and hopefully a much shorter period of time, it still shows that we haven't properly learned the lessons from what happened a few years ago with the pandemic. And what I think is missing from the conversation about, why no virtual learning, we can't let the perfect here be the enemy of the good. I don't think parents are looking for, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. standard instruction day, classes go on the same way they would in school. It's not that. It's doing what you can, doing the best that you can. Get teachers on a Zoom for an hour. Give some activity sheets for some younger kids to potentially work on. Is it true that some families might not be able to access those documents because they don't have a computer at home? Sure. But it's true that a lot of people do. And for those who do, it helps. And for those who don't, you try to get other ways to engage with those families. So I think we're in a situation where the district could have done more to do the best that they could during this prolonged closure. And the fact that they chose not to is, I think, what's frustrating many parents.
What are some of the potential reforms beyond, online learning, things of that nature, whether it be communication or snow removal changes that you hope to see after this prolonged situation here in the DMV?
Yeah, so I think we're in a situation where extreme weather events are becoming more common.
Yep.
Something with this storm is becoming, I think, more the rule than the exception. So I think it certainly starts with equipment. If we don't have what we need at this point as a county, one of the wealthiest counties in the country, to be able to properly clear streets for buses or make sidewalks passable for kids who walk to school, then we need to do that. That's a policy choice that we make. And if we don't make the investment, these are the consequences. When it comes to virtual learning, if there's more we can do compared to what we're doing now, even if it's not perfect, even if it doesn't reach everybody, if there's still a gap between what we do and what we could do, then we need to proactively fill that gap so that we're ready for next time. One thing that I think the school district did very well over the past few days is making sure that families had meals, for example. For many kids, school meals are the most consistent source of nutrition that they'll get at any point during the week. So they opened up sites so that parents could come get meals for a couple of days, and that helps get through this stretch of time. Did it reach everybody? No. Did every parent who could have depended on those meals, were they able to get it? No. But they didn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. They gave those meals out to whoever could access them, and you try to reach the other families as best you can. I think the same model should apply to virtual learning, where you try to reach as many kids as you can, give parents the opportunity to work a little bit more than they might otherwise be able to, give kids an activity so that they're occupied for at least part of the day, and it helps a little bit, even if it's not perfect. So what I'm hoping comes out of the county council hearing tomorrow is some of those steps that can be used for next time so that this sort of situation doesn't happen again, because we shouldn't keep putting our kids last.
All right.
Great
Adam
point.
Zimmerman, Sandra Ruiz, and Alex Saronis from the MoCo Show. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and having this conversation. Obviously, a lot of lessons to be learned. Alex, before we let you go, where can people follow you for more?
At Mr. Moco 301, you'll see a lot of my Moco Snow stuff on Instagram there, or the Moco Show for just all of our stuff in general.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Prime Time and breaking this down for us.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what Tony P's been keeping in his